Hello and welcome to The Perspective. I'm your host Rafae, Iqbal, and in today's show we'll be talking about the Chinese Prime Minister's visit to Pakistan on the 14th of October. Of course, this visit marks huge significance for the country as CPEC is entering its phase 2, and of course this visit is a furtherance of the ironclad friendship that already exists between both the countries. With regards to the significance of this visit, it's very crucial because it focuses on reprofiling of debt for the CPEC projects. Of course, we know that CPEC being a game changer in Pakistan's infrastructure and energy sectors and has contributed greatly to the development of these sectors. We also know that the CPEC focuses on connectivity with the Central Asian states, which also is very beneficial for Pakistan with regards to its trade and economic ties that will be strengthened with these countries as a result of this vision. We also know that MOUs are going to be signed with regards to the visit of the Chinese Prime Minister to Pakistan, and of course the upcoming SCO summit, which is to be hosted in Islamabad, the most significant and important event that is going to be hosted in the country at this time. With regards to that, we know there's heavy preparations made and stringent security measures in place for the SCO. It is a very important event that the country is going to be hosting because it has all the heads of governments of the SCO member states arriving in the country, and stringent security measures have been placed in regards to the SCO summit. Additional personnel of the law enforcement agencies have been deployed. Section 144 has been imposed in Rawalpindi and Islamabad. And we know that the Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi has been supervising these security arrangements for the SCO summit. These are very, very good news for Pakistan's diplomatic front, and of course we'll be talking about the different aspects regarding the Chinese Prime Minister's visit to the country, and of course the developments that will unfold regarding that. In the studios we have been joined by Ms. Naila Chauhan, who is a former ambassador. Along with that, we have been joined by Dr. Usman Chauhan, who is an advisor of economy at SAS. I'd like to thank you both for your time and being part of the conversation. Of course, I'll start off with Ms. Naila, as we know that the arrival of the Malaysian Prime Minister in the country, the arrival of the Saudi delegation, and now the hosting of the SCO summit, the Chinese Premier is going to be coming, the Russian Prime Minister is coming, and there's going to be the heads of governments of different member countries of the SCO coming in. How significant would you term Pakistan hosting this SCO summit at this time? And of course, what big of a success would you term it for Pakistan and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's government that they have so many developments going on Pakistan's diplomatic front?
Well, it is a very positive development. As far as SCO is concerned, you know that it is on rotation, the chairmanship. And this time it was Pakistan's chairmanship, so we are the hosts. But so many other activities that are going on are testimony to the success of your foreign policy under the current government, that so many leaders, heads of state, heads of government, trade delegations are coming to work with Pakistan, and Pakistan is an important player in the region. So it's not just take, it's also to give. Pakistan has always played a very important role, and it's a testimony of your success and your role in the region.
Definitely, and with regards to, as we know, the CPEC, it is a child project of the Belt and Road Initiative, which focuses on connectivity with the Central Asian states. Of course, with regards to that, we know it is going to be a game changer for the whole region. Of course, there's going to be trade ties that are going to be strengthened, there are goods that can be beneficial for both the sides when they trade them. And of course, we know that the energy problems that are going to be resolved for Pakistan and the other countries in the region as well with regards to this initiative. How important do you think this, the visit of the Chinese Prime Minister to Pakistan is going to be at this time when CPEC is entering its phase 2? Of course, it is the flagship project of the BRI, which is of course President Xi's vision.
So let me clarify a little that in SCO you have heads of states, then you have heads of governments. The heads of state would mean President Xi Jinping is coming. The head of government is the Chinese Prime Minister is coming, Premier is coming. So, the energy projects of the CPEC will be discussed because he is the head of the government, and it is expected that our Chinese friends, gracious as they always have been, will be helping us renegotiate the repayment of the debts. I think about 16 billion for a 3-year, delay and a 5-year delay. So, I think it is only a proof of the strength of our relationship with China, and that both the countries have the vision to improve the lives of the people of this region, and it also includes sustainable development goals, which we are all party to, and the deadline is 2030, which is not very far.
Yes.
So, we all have to work together to achieve our targets.
Definitely. With regards to that, I'd like to include Dr. Osman in the conversation as well. Of course, as Ms. Naila mentioned, that the talks are going to be focusing on energy and infrastructure. But when we talk about CPEC and, of course, Pakistan's relationship with China, it is a testament, the CPEC is a testament to the time-tested friendship, the ironclad friendship that exists already. What more do you think China could help Pakistan in when we talk about settling Pakistan's debt? Of course, Pakistan can also settle it by adding value to its exports. How do you think China could help Pakistan with that?
You're raising a very important point, that just having debt reprofiling or restructuring is only part of the issue. We also have to look at all of our creditors in total. That includes not just China, because China is not necessarily the most significant creditor. Actually, we have multilateral lending. We also have other entities involved. And then it is true that to raise the foreign reserves to repay the internationally denominated debt, we have to do something which is more productive. We have to create more value from it. That means that the export-driven foreign reserve creation is important. And again, when we look at the federal budget, we think of lumping all of our debt together, but we have to keep in mind that domestic debt creation is still the biggest challenge, and that is something that you don't need China for. You have to tackle that between the government and the banking system, with the state bank being the most involved. So our debt issue is something that the government realizes is something that should not persist in the way it has. And there are many arguments for reprofiling it in a drastic manner or doing so in a graduated manner, but just keep in mind the horizon of liabilities that we are incurring. So with that, China is always by our side. It helps, but then we also look at the other international creditors, and then we also look at our domestic banking sector to make sure that there is a balance. It is good to have some credit that is driving growth, but it isn't good to have credit when you have static opportunities. So growth with debt will work for us.
Definitely. And in regards to that, do you think human resource development, as we know that China is very advanced in technology and of course in skilled labor, how do you think Pakistan could benefit from the human resource development factor, of course, with regards to technology transfer and with regards to advancements in the agriculture sector as well, and as Pakistan is now exploring its blue economy as well?
Absolutely. The horizon of cooperation between Pakistan and China knows no bounds. That is because CPEC has already laid several phases out into the future, with the first one being successfully complete, setting the foundation. Now we're in phase 2, which involves much more private sector incorporation, and that's where your question about agriculture and human resource and technology transfer comes in. Then there's also a phase 3, which involves more managerial and conceptual projects. But also we can tie this into the SCO, because as the Astana Declaration points out, there are many facets where China plus Pakistan plus regional players can work together, and you create a mutual sphere of prosperity. So in that regard, I share your highlighting of human resource, because there are many Pakistani students in China. I've heard a figure that exceeds 15,000, but it may be slightly higher or lower and changes year to year. Then you have agricultural units, and that is particularly around the Indus rivers and its tributaries, where we have a lot to do with China. But then also there's mineral exploration and other primary sector, secondary sector, and of course tertiary sector, where many large multinationals in Pakistan right now are Chinese, and they only see further room for expansion and growth to drive their profitability.
Definitely. Ms. Naila, I'd also like to come to another aspect, of course, when we talk about CPEC, when we talk about regional connectivity and, of course, regional concerted efforts to solve the problems of the region. Of course, we've seen in the recent past, there have been external security issues as well when it comes to connectivity with the Central Asian states, when it comes to CPEC and the BRI. How do you think the concerted efforts with regards to all the regional players involved could tackle the security issue?
Well, it has to be a regional approach. Actually, it has to be a global approach, because international community also has to play a role in it, particularly funding that comes from outside the region to create instability within the region. So, it is a very important element where all the regional countries have to work together, and like Dr. Chauhan mentioned, Astana Declaration, if you go through Astana Declaration, there is a sizable part of it which is focusing on countering terrorism, on countering all these nefarious activities, responsibilities of the states in working out a plan of action where they do, because they have RATS, as you know, which is a regional anti-terrorism system.
Yes.
So, the RATS are there, but it is also a responsibility on the member countries to play their role. There is a mention on Afghanistan. Afghanistan will be coming, I suppose, as observer. We want peace in Afghanistan, but the country itself has to also address its internal issues like drugs, like terrorism and human rights, so many other issues. The regional countries are standing together, because this is the theme, that it's one earth and one future for all of us as human beings. That is the focus, and that's how SCO's approach is different from other regional organizations.
Definitely, and it's a very proactive approach when we talk about addressing the problems of the region. Of course, as mentioned in the conversation, Afghanistan's name came to light, and of course we know that there have been other countries that have been using the Afghan soil as proxies to create instability in the region. And when we talk about regional concerted efforts, do you think it could include efforts like tech and intelligence transfer? And of course, when we talk about regional cooperation on this issue, there's some regional players that are part of this instability. How do you think this SCO could tackle that?
So, you mean to say who's the part of the problem and who's the part of the solution? I suppose now the world has come to a point that nobody can believe that they are immune to what's going on around them. So, if you come and mess up my house, it's likelihood that the fire that you have set in my house will reach your home too. And this realization is very important for those countries that are indulging in such activities. But SCO, all the member countries stand firm on this, that the territorial integrity, sovereignty of each member state has to be respected, and they cannot have disputes and use this forum for their personal, point scoring.
Definitely.
So, SCO is a very good platform in that sense.
Definitely. We've also been joined by Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan, former ambassador, and thank you for being part of the conversation, sir. As we were talking about the Chinese Prime Minister's visit to Pakistan, of course, as CPEC is entering its phase 2, the SCO is also to be hosted in Islamabad on the 15th and 16th of this month. With regards to that, we were talking about the security issues facing the region, and of course how the SCO as a platform could address these issues. How, in your opinion, could the concerted regional efforts be put in? And of course, with regards to that, we know one country, one neighboring country of Pakistan, Afghanistan, it is being used to create instability in the region. How do you think that issue could also be addressed?
Well, there are already efforts being made to address this issue. But from the SCO platform, yes, the fundamental principle of SCO, the purpose of SCO. Counterterrorism is one of the major ingredients of the SCO Charter. And then border security and confidence building, then followed by economic cooperation, trade, energy security, and so on, cultural exchange. Coming back to the security aspect, yes, that is a prime factor now. So somehow in the changing geopolitical environment. If you talk about the Afghanistan, yes, the monitoring team of the United Nations have given report to the Security Council, 3 different reports, the last being there are 20 different groups in Afghanistan, and they are using the soil of Afghanistan. Efforts, particularly the SCO countries, China, Russia, Iran, Pakistan, they are making those efforts to somehow address this issue with the collaboration and cooperation of Taliban. Taliban might be having their own indigenous problem. To what extent they can control it, and to what extent they would like to have support from its SCO countries, I think that must be thrashed out, and that could be the future strategy of the member countries of the SCO. So that is regarding the security with regard to the Afghanistan. But the bigger problem which is emerging in the security, in the geopolitical landscape is the emerging situation of Lebanon, Gaza, and the threat which is now being given to Iran and consequences. So that is my understanding is that most of the head of the government during their speech, during their address to the SCO platform, they are going to touch upon this particular emerging dangerous development of the geopolitical situation. So, having said so, Pakistan, to what extent is the Prime Minister of China is visiting after about 11 years, we see Prime Minister of China visiting Pakistan, the head of government, and it is significant from 2 points of view. As I said, the geopolitical emerging situation, and then the economic collaboration of Pakistan being part of the whole mechanism of the BRI. And in fact, the CPEC 2 is basically harmonizing the entire project with the BRI, and that way we are going to have a very in-depth discussion, it appears, because that's 1 day prior to the beginning of the summit, the Prime Minister of China is visiting. So this economic rise of China and the growing influence of Russia, Turkey, Iran, this is adding a lot of importance to this platform. This platform was, like any other regional platform of this nature, this is known as the regional organization. This is constituted under the Charter of the United Nations, Chapter 8. So it does have the strength of international law. And now, once the entire global world order is changing from global west to global east, the significance and importance of its this platform is also improving and changing. As it was being discussed a little bit earlier, and whatever I heard, the key principle of this platform, ever since it was started and there were certain add-ons, was a mutual respect and non-interference, sovereignty and territorial integrity of the countries, equality and mutual benefit, non-alignment and non-confrontational. So these are the basic 4 principles on the basis of which this the platform was initially started. But this shift which I just mentioned, the power balance, the economic power balance, the geopolitical alliances and conflicts, cultural change, and the soft power, all these, what is happening around, and the bigger spectrum of the global scene, it is now also going to reflect in the SCO. And we all understand why SCO is so important, right from the very beginning, but it is gaining its strength because of, as I said, that the world order is now changing from global west to global east. So the key regions in this entire setup, the SCO is Asia Pacific, it's being covered Middle East, Central Asia, and Eastern Europe. So this by itself is more than 50% of the world population. Or nuclear countries are included in it. The GDP, the world maximum GDP share is in these countries. So the changing regional dynamics, and particularly with regard to the possible and emerging situation in this region, in particular with reference to Iran, is one thing which could be bothersome for most of the head of the government who are going to visit. So far as Pakistan is concerned, yes, they have already completed 38 projects of the CPEC 1, and then in the pipeline 26 projects. So that by itself is a demonstration that how serious is this project and how serious is Pakistan in advancing this project towards its completion. 17 out of 41 projects advanced at the advanced stage, aligning it with the BRI. So, but the most important in all what I see here is the offshore oil and gas exploration.
Definitely, Dr. Jamil. Of course, the world order is changing, and of course, the SCO is proving itself to be a very significant platform with regards to that. We'll also be joined by Dr. Adnan Sarwar, who's a foreign affairs expert. Thank you for being part of the conversation. But before I move to my question, am I audible to you, Dr. Adnan?
Yes, you're audible.
Right. In regards to how the conversation has so far shaped up, and also because we're running short on time, I'll add two questions. Of course, what significance would you attach to the Chinese Prime Minister coming to Pakistan, of course, with the CPEC entering its phase 2? We know that Pakistan is hosting the SCO, but what significance would you term it in regards to the strengthening of economic ties between the two countries, and of course the untapped potential that both the countries have that could be further tapped? And the second leg, with regards to the security situation in regards to the region, how do you think the SCO could address that? Because we know there's one country, Pakistan's neighbor, Afghanistan, that is being used for furthering instability in the region, which is a threat to the CPEC, the BRI, and of course a threat to the vision of connectivity of the region at large.
Yes, you have two very basic questions and very sensitive questions for me. First of all, to the question number one, well, this visit of the Chinese premier is indeed regarding the SCO, head of the government's meeting, 15th and 16th of this month at Islamabad. Nevertheless, you see, when a Chinese leader, and that also of the level of the prime minister or a president comes, that becomes a special occasion for Pakistan, China's bilateral relations as well. And I could recall here that this visit of the Chinese Prime Minister was earlier preceded by the Chinese State Councillor and Foreign Minister, Qin Gang, who visited in early May. So in that also you see some spade work was laid. And now it would further cement it. And I'm very sure that the visit is going to restore the further confidence in Pakistan and China. Look, one thing is very important here, that whatever, and I'll come to that question, that threats and
Dr. Adnan, we're having trouble hearing you. We'll try to connect with you again. Of course, we'll try to establish a connection with you again because your voice is inaudible to you. I'd come back to the studios towards Ms. Naila, as far as the conversation has shaped up, of course, there's talk of how there's the potential that can be further tapped, and of course, how the SCO could curb the issues being faced by the regional countries. With regards to that, do you think the SCO could do more than that in regards to the issues being faced by the global powers? Of course, we know when we talk about the security issue, the ISK, it is not just an issue for the Asian region. We know it goes beyond this region, and its designs also have global designs. They're nefarious designs, but they have big ambitions. Do you think the SCO, with regards to the connectivity, with regards to the cooperation that it aims to achieve, do you think it could go bigger than the region and, of course, play its role in addressing global issues like terrorism?
Well, SCO has its own mandate, but they are actually focusing on cooperation with United Nations, and they're also discussing UN reforms. So in that sense, yes, they will be doing more. And then they have this plan of action 2035, which is their target to meet for peace, stability, security, economic development, sustainable development, climate change, addressal. All these issues are part of their target, but what you have spoken of, terrorism, that is the biggest menace that threatens, you rightly said, not only the region but the world, and it emanates from one particular part which needs to be made responsible, which needs to be helped if they need help, so that this terrorism does not proliferate from that to the rest of not only the region but the world.
Dr. Usman, with regards to that, I'd like your opinion. When we talk about curbing this issue of terrorism with regards to that one particular country, do you think more economic opportunities could provide them grounds to streamline their people, to give their people better opportunities, so they stay away from, of course, these terror outfits, because we know how these terror outfits, they manipulate and exploit the people.
Absolutely. Economic deprivation is a big pull factor for youth in any society towards criminal activity, antisocial behavior, and violent acts. Because Afghanistan has been particularly war-torn, deprived, destruction of its society, infrastructure, morality, etc., the vulnerability of its youth towards radical notions is far stronger. Now, as things begin to calm in Asia overall, I think that the opportunity to present economic, particularly labor market oriented initiatives for the youth in Afghanistan will help, as well as further, although work is already being done that is very heartening, but if further work is done in Afghanistan to dissuade poppy cultivation and other sources of narcotics and other things that the SCO cares about, then as part of a concerted strategy to absorb a demographic that is particularly youth bulge driven, you can see positive outcomes. And the same applies to other countries which have a large youth bulge, that if you can provide economic incentives for them, then the ability for them to be distracted, disoriented, or misaligned in terms of social and economic priorities weakens. Definitely.
Also, we've been joined by Dr. Talat Shabbir, who is Director of China-Pakistan Center at the ISSI. Of course, he's joined us on phone line. With regards to the SCO summit and how the conversation has shaped up, of course, we know when we talk about the external threats to the SCO, there's one country in particular that, that poses as a security threat to the connectivity of the region at large. What would be your opinion in regards to curbing that threat, and of course with regards to providing them better opportunities for economic uplift, providing them with opportunities for human resource development, and of course the second leg of the question being, how do you think Pakistan could, of course, will benefit from the economic factor of the SCO, but how do you think Pakistan could add value to its items and services that it exports, and of course generate more revenue from its exports with regards to trade with these countries?
Thank you very much for having me on your show. I think it's a very important theme, and in a couple of days that we expect SCO summit. So these are very important things to be discussed. First of all, I must say that we should focus on potential of SCO as organization, as a regional integration arrangement, and then we should also look at it through certain bilateral perspectives, because all those countries who are members of SCO, we have bilateral relationship with them, and that is very important. Of course, when we broadly see the agenda of SCO summit, it is going to be covering multilateral cooperation, that is regional issues of regional and international importance. Economic cooperation that includes economic collaboration, of course, trade and investment and connectivity, and very important is security cooperation. Though I'm certain Afghanistan, since Afghanistan is something that is actually will help connectivity towards Central Asia and other SCO member countries. So Afghanistan is very important, and I think there should be a plan, because internationally when we see Afghanistan has so far been left by the West and other countries who are aligning with the Western thought process. So it is very important to have peace in Afghanistan in order for agenda of peace and regional stability to be forwarded. Other issues can broadly that I'm speaking is climate change and environment protection, and regional stability I think should be at the top of the themes or agenda that SCO should be looking for in this meeting. When we talk of trade and connectivity, you see, we see that there are many growing economies, big economies and growing economies, who are part of this forum, and there should be some mechanism evolved whereby we can have cooperation. And Pakistan is looking for any opportunity to connect bilaterally. Of course, bilateral cooperation adds to what we expect from a regional organization like SCO. This is very important time, and I think Pakistan stands to benefit, because we are now seeing some improvement in our economic indicators, and government is making effort to further enhance it or maybe strengthen it. So this is very right time that we can also forge and foster collaboration with SU member states and carry on with our economic agenda. It is very important. The peace, as you talked of peace is very important for any economic agenda to be pursued. So I think all the countries are, they recognize this threat to peace in shape of growing terrorism maybe, and their counter-terrorism efforts need to be enhanced. They should help Pakistan in order for achieving kind of regional stability. There's a lot of stability which is Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, that focuses in this part of the region, and of course Afghanistan is a very important issue. India's on being on board for addressing these issues is very important. In my sense that these countries, and particularly those countries who are in conflict with each other, they should recognize and reconcile in order for bringing good to the people of this region. More than 40% population lives in this region, and this is a very important region where 80% of Eurasian land mass is considered to be part of the region. So I think security, peace, stability will definitely drive economic development.
Definitely. Thank you, Dr. Talat Shabbir, of course, for very articulate with your views. With regards to that, I'd come to the studio back towards Ms. Naila. How big of a success would you term for President Xi's vision, as how so far the conversation has shaped up with regards to the Central Asian connectivity, with regards to the SCO? Of course, we know when we talk about connectivity in this region, how big would you term President Xi's vision of the Belt and Road Initiative and a success for China with regards to implementation of that vision?
I think it is really amazing the kind of visionary leader he is, and he totally changed China's perspective towards the world and world's perspective of China. Because before that, when President Deng Xiaoping was there, he wanted the country to improve within, put your house in order. But President Xi decided to link the whole world. It goes not only in Asia, it goes to Africa also. It goes all over the planet because it's linking humanity. It is a vision no other leader has ever had with that kind of connectivity of humanity. That makes it very special and very impressive, and it is for the betterment of all the countries, all the people. So there is an incentive for everyone to participate. Although there are some spoilers who have their own myopic view, but keeping them aside, I think it's a fantastic vision.
Definitely innovation in the modern times, what we could call it. Dr. Usman, I'd like your concluding remarks as well with regards to the vision in regards to the Belt and Road Initiative, and of course the SCO with what it regards to have in the economic spheres, in the trade. Of course, we know it's a replica of the ancient Silk routes. How do you comment on that in regards to the current dynamics being faced in the world?
Thank you for this powerful, multifaceted question. Essentially, I would draw everyone's attention.
But I'll warn you, we're running short on time as well.
Yes, absolutely. So in summary, because the answer has to be in summary, the Astana Declaration encapsulates this sentiment. The Astana Declaration says that we have to build a new world order that puts everybody on an equal footing for a more prosperous future for everyone. All the countries that have endorsed this, I believe, should be on the same page, and it is possible to realize this vision not for any one nation's benefit, but for all participants' benefits.
Definitely. With that, we wrap up today's perspective, and of course the conversation that we were having. I'd like to thank all of our guests, Ms. Naila Chauhan, Dr. Usman Chauhan, Dr. Adnan Sarwar Khan, Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan, and Dr. Talat Shabbir. Thank you all for being part of the conversation and sharing your valuable insights. Of course, that was the discussion regarding the Chinese Prime Minister's visit to Pakistan on the 14th of October, and of course the developments that are going to follow. And PTV World is going to keep you updated with regards to this very important event, the SEO that is going to be happening. See you same time tomorrow. Till then, take care.